Sure, we record. There we
We're
go.
recording.
All right, we want to make sure we're recording. And just the reason why I'm checking on that, folks, in case any folks need to drop off early and or if you want to come back to hear some of the questions and the answers and some of the information we're covering, this session will be recorded. It will be available on our website once the session is over today for your referral purposes. So if you want to refer back to it, once again, get any information or for any reason you need to drop because you have another appointment or you have another meeting or you need to go for whatever reasons, don't feel dismayed. This will be available on our website. So once again, we want to make sure that this is recorded so that you can have that information available to you for the duration of the application as you're applying for the program. So I just want to just quickly mention that.
So we are recording.
Yes. All righty.
All right. So the Washington Area Community Investment Fund has promoted equity and opportunity in underserved neighborhoods in the DC region since 1987. We've been around for quite a while. Our mission is driven by three strategic pillars. These are equitable development, community wealth building, and inclusive entrepreneurship. Next slide, please, Russell.
Absolutely.
WakeIF provides support for entrepreneurs through various types of platforms and campaigns. So we're have a few of those. This slide. Business financing through our loan products and grant opportunities, and these vary by year. Right now, we have a grant opportunity that's matched with our Green Growth Fund for entrepreneurs in the green and sustainability space. So it really does vary by the programming and year to year. But we do have loan products all the time available to our clients. So if that's of interest to you, you're always welcome to reach out to us. We have advisory services such as our one-on-one consulting and expert open hours program. This year, we're featuring experts in certification and supplier engagement, and also in the green and sustainable entrepreneurship space. That is part of our Sustainable DC program, which is aligned with that Green Growth Fund that I mentioned. We also have training educational programming like the Ascend Beauty program and other trainings and workshops throughout the year. Please do keep an eye on our social media and newsletters for a lot of upcoming workshops, events. We're pretty good about promoting those. And then to wrap it up, but really a big component of a lot of what we do is supporting community and network development for entrepreneurs. We really do bake social engagement into many of our programs to make sure that you're developing your community and growing your business. Network development offers small businesses benefits way beyond immediate sales and partnerships. So it's really important to us. Next slide, please. We also wanted to share a little more on WakeIF's Office of Women's Initiatives, which does co-facilitate the Ascend Beauty Cohort. For over 35 years, WakeIF has supported women entrepreneurs in the DMV through general programming. But in 2020, we received our first funding ever to develop and provide tailored programming to women entrepreneurs. This was funding from the Minority Business Development Agency at the Department of Commerce. Building on that work, last year in 2024, we onboarded the Small Business Administration's Capital Region Women's Business Center. So that center is for new entrepreneurs who are looking to start businesses. That is a program here at WakeIF. And then this year also, WakeIF launched our Office of Women's Initiatives, which is essentially the internal office at WakeIF, committing our support to women entrepreneurs in the DMV region. So we no longer have the funding from the MBDA, and moving forward, we are committing to make sure that we will always have programming to support women entrepreneurs. And the Ascend program is part of that commitment. We're bringing intentional programs to women business owners in our community. Next slide, please. And we are thrilled again to partner with Rahama Wright and her team at the Yelene Beauty Maker space. This will be our third cohort with the with Rahama and her team for the Ascend Beauty Maker cohort. Next slide. I want to share a little bit about the founder, Rahama Wright. She is a DC-based social entrepreneur and women's advocate. She's also a former Ascend graduate and a local beauty entrepreneur who founded Shailene, which is a beauty product company, and the Yulene Beauty Maker Space, which is that maker space that helps support and creates a manufacturing space for small businesses. And that opened this year in Ward 7. Rahama's entrepreneurial journey spans bootstrapping to landing deals with companies like Whole Foods and MGM Resorts International. Shailene is a triple bottom line social impact company that is rooted in the financial empowerment of women in Ghanaian villages. So that's where she sources her shea butter. Rahama and the Yulene Makerspace team help entrepreneurs navigate a wide range of topics. And a lot of those topics are in alignment with the programming in the Ascend Beauty cohort. They include social entrepreneurship, women in business, fundraising, manufacturing, supply chain development, and retail distribution. Next slide, please.
Sure. And just real quick, I want to drop a fun fact. I don't know if it's a fun fact, but I think it's a great fact.
Yeah.
Before Mari continues with the rest of talking about our partnership with Yulene Beauty. Rahama is actually one of our first cohort participants back in 2017. So the Ascend program from WakeIF was initially started, once again, 2017, which at the time had about 20 to 25 entrepreneurs participated in our inaugural program. And oftentimes, not every time, but often during the interviews, we get questions on, well, what is your relationship to past cohort members? What is your commitment to the ongoing relationships with entrepreneurs? If I go into the Ascend program, what is the support that we will, as an organization, provide to you afterwards? So Rahama is just an example in terms of those who have gone through our program, how we continue to support, collaborate, and partner with the entrepreneurs who have gone through our program. And she is the tip of the iceberg. If we had really all the time in the world, Mari and I could sit here and talk about stories upon stories of so many fantastic entrepreneurs that have gone through our program and are doing absolutely fantabulously, magnanimously great things. I know those are no words, but that's okay. I don't mind adding a little bit of innovative terminology here. It's kind of the way we work at WakeIF. But yeah, Rahama is once again the 2017 graduate. And so if folks are wondering, well, what's the benefit of going through Ascend, or what are the support mechanisms and what does the support experience look like post Ascend? This is just an example. We partner with folks to then once again provide ongoing support for the entrepreneurs that we're serving. So just wanted to quickly share information around who Rahama is, not just in terms of her business, but what has been our long-term relationship with her as it's been over the past 5 to 6 and 7 years.
Yeah, and actually to piggyback on your piggyback, I posted in the chat to everybody a link to WakeIF stories and updates. This is our blogs, and there's like another one coming, but there's 2 to 3 blogs in here about the graduates of the last, like this year's Ascend Beauty graduates. We have just short informational interviews with all of them, and they talk about their experience and some of the successes that they've seen even this year from their participation. So feel free to check those out too. Those are really cool. All right, so Rahama can't be here, but we do want to share some information about the purpose of the Yulene Beauty Maker Space, where it came from, how she created it, and what it offers in alignment with the Ascend Beauty cohort. So over the last 15 years, Rahama has really overcome many challenges of growing a beauty business and finding the right sources to scale her company. As an entrepreneur, she experienced a variety of issues and became aware of ways that the beauty industry is really not working for small independent beauty makers or for consumers. Specifically, some of the major issues she identified are the safety of products and ingredients, the fact that plastics are so heavily used in the industry, and that like the beauty industry is actually contributing a lot of microplastics into the environment, which we don't love. The unethical treatment of workers is a problem. And then despite the considerable buying power of women of color as consumers in the beauty industry, women of color also are significantly underrepresented among beauty brand owners. So that is something that she really wants to address. Additionally, if you can go to the next slide. There are issues at the local level for independent beauty makers, right? So there's a lack of access to manufacturing facilities, lack of access to capital. There's limited tech and industry knowledge. There are issues around sourcing, limitations to accessing these plant-based materials, discrimination, and limitations to retail opportunities. That's also a challenge. Next slide, please. So the solution is really the Yalean Beauty Maker space. It addresses all of these concerns, and in partnership with WAKIF and our Ascend Beauty Makers program, we are going to help the Yalean Beauty Maker space also address some of these issues and help support our community through this program. So we're really thrilled to be a part of the solution and to help Rahama and you, the beauty makers, have access to a lot of the solutions that are going to help you to support and further grow your beauty making businesses. And that's that about that. So Russell,
Yeah,
a little more about
absolutely.
Ascend.
Yeah, no, a little bit about Ascend. So yeah, we wanted to quickly give an overview about Ascend earlier, and then from there we wanted to to share a little bit about Rahama and her enterprise and sort of how that dovetails into the work that we both are in terms of supporting entrepreneurs and just growing entrepreneurial enterprises, particularly in this instance in the sustainability space around beauty makers. So a little bit of information here in terms of some context around Ascend. One of the things that we discovered early on prior to 2017 when we launched was just really understanding and realizing the wealth gap that was taking place in our communities. And at the time, our CEO was thinking like, how can we begin to provide solutions and change the narrative around this? And just as we can see from the slide, just the gargantuan gap between white households and Black households and then Hispanic households. 81 times in terms of household wealth in terms of from the Black community, and then 22 times the wealth gap in terms of from the Hispanic community. So either one in terms of those individual numbers, those are just huge numbers. And so just looking at sort of that stark reality, our CEO at the time said, well, we really want to come up with a solution and to think about that challenge and that problem and how do we begin to really understand how can we begin to put tools and capabilities and resources on the table to address this issue from an entrepreneurial lens. And so part of that starts with just understanding what our beliefs are around the Ascend program. We believe that really our investments and the resources and all of the possibilities, so to speak, that we bring to bear should be really driven around, should really be driven intentionally. And so intentionally being very strategic in terms of how we think about social capital, knowledge capital, and financial capital. And how do we actually organize that and deploy it in a way that's useful, that's impactful, in a way that really contributes to the advancements of entrepreneurs, their capability to learn, the ability to build their businesses, and just really for them to grow their enterprises. And so we're thinking if we're very intentional around these three particular things, or these particular two things, the social and the educational capital, that allows the financial capital to be that much more catalytic. So it's a very holistic approach in terms of how do we think about bringing assets and resources to the table to help entrepreneurs really grow and prosper. So as I just mentioned previously, Rahama being a part of this initial cohort in 2017, In March of that year, the first Ascend Capital Accelerator program was launched. And it was an intensive 8-week program with models developed for 25 entrepreneurs. And once again, the whole strategy was really, how do we want to leverage proven technology of venture accelerators and sort of put those together for quote unquote mainstream businesses. This is a number of years ago. So at the time, the whole idea around tech was still emerging to a degree. But now, in a lot of ways, if you're not using, every business to a degree as a tech business, you might be developing or producing tech, but in some form or fashions, many entrepreneurs are using tech as an integrative part in terms of how they do businesses. So a little bit of the narrative from 2017 today has evolved, especially if we look in the light of how artificial intelligence and machine learning is kind of everywhere. And the marketplace in general is really trying to figure out technology just from that particular lens as an example. And what does that look like in terms of moving forward in a successful way? So once again, this is sort of understanding the core foundations and sort of how the Ascend Accelerator came about and what was sort of the strategy in terms of putting together this program and moving it forward. So, excuse me. So we're going to talk a little bit now here about the actual program itself to kind of give you a sense of the actual accelerator program, the timeline, and what's actually encapsulated in the day-to-day happenings of both just the application process and also the program itself. So one of the things we always like to do is we always want to talk about the underlying values of the program. It's one thing to get into some workshops and learn some technical expertise and figure out how to do your budget and think about your marketing. Those things are vitally important. But one of the things we want to be very communicative about is the underlying value and the underlying sort of philosophy and the experience that we're trying to create here from the Ascend Accelerator and from Wake Up really in general. So one of the things that we really want to emphasize, and we really want to make sure that you, at a minimum, you walk away with today, is understanding our underlying value and what is our intention in terms of how we want to show up. Our goal really is to think about long-term partnership, excuse me, and extend relationship building. We could say that, right? We might just be paying lip service to that, but just as we mentioned earlier, just one demonstration of that is our relationship with Rahama and his partnership program that we put together. So that just is a evidence in terms of our commitment to relationship building and the long-term, excuse me, the long-term success of the entrepreneurs that we work with. Our support mechanisms we have, excuse me, I probably need to grab a glass of water here, but I think I should be okay. Sound a little froggy here. It's getting to the end of the week and I've been talking all week. So folks, bear with me. Appreciate your patience. Once again, our approach is being supportive and holistic. We not only just think about the business and making sure the success of the entity, but how do we support the entrepreneurs themselves? And so there's a lot that goes into that in terms of ensuring that we're taking approach to what do you need as leaders, right? What do you need to think as strategic individuals? And then how does that also then coincide and intersect with the business itself as well? One of the things that we really try to emphasize and we truly work very, very diligently on is this idea of trust and community building. Once again, if you're in a space, you don't trust folks, you're not quite comfortable, you don't think the individuals that are working, quote unquote, in support of you are genuine, that causes tremendous amount of mistrust and doesn't really allow for prosperity. So we really work to the best of our ability and our capacity to instill trust in terms of being authentic, preparing spaces of transparency, allowing entrepreneurs to come to the workshops and come to the space authentic, being very, very sincere about what their challenges are, what are some of the things that they're working through, and just really provide a space where folks can kind of come to be genuine in who they are in terms of where they're at and where they're trying to go. And last but not least, and I've mentioned this a little bit earlier, and some of the things I just mentioned, is this idea of how do we create spaces of vulnerability, right? One of the things that is really, really, really important is being aware of what are your vulnerabilities in terms of a professional, in terms of a leader, in terms of an entrepreneur, because that's sort of where the weakness is, right? Or where there's an opportunity to strengthen your skill sets. And being able to come to the table and be very, very transparent about that allows you to grow and once again, kind of take your business to the next level in terms of where you're trying to go. In addition to some of those core beliefs, we kind of like to talk about in terms of what the program actually tries to offer as well. Once you go through the program, we provide access to post-program advisory support. So once again, it's not just once you go through the program, kind of push you out the door, God bless, hope you do well and you succeed. We continue to provide opportunities to continue to engage with WakeIF, both with us and also our ecosystem post-program. There's also provide opportunities for check-ins with small business advisory team. If there's particular questions you're looking for, partnerships that you're looking, resources that you're trying to bring to bear, our small advisory team is an opportunity and a resource to do that. We have all kinds of resources for ongoing support. We have connections here in DC. We have relationships in Chicago, LA, New York, I mean, all across the country. So businesses obviously just aren't operating here within the DMV. We have businesses that are operating across the country and also across the world. So we have lots of resources to bring to bear, to support you with. And depending on what you're looking for, where you're at, we can kind of help and prepare and maybe even present some partnerships that may be of value to you. And then opportunities to network, like anyone has ever heard or ever been, and either you're working with an employee or working as an entrepreneur or just being out and about wanting to connect with other folks. Networking is always, always important. And there's just an umpteenth amount of opportunities that WakeIF has throughout the year to provide opportunities for that. And then also within the program as well are the professionals that come to the team with Rahama and her folks are just really just incomparable. So you're getting plenty of opportunities to network within the program, especially for those looking to get much more deeply rooted in the beauty maker space and the resources that are available through that lens. So in terms of the little bit of the nitty gritty here, looking at the actual application time, to give a sense of what that timeline looks like, on October 20th, we actually opened up the applications. And then today, once again, as we're all here on the 30th, will be the information session. And then the candidate interviews will be ongoing. So they will be taking place from November 3rd all the way through December 5th. So we actually started a little bit earlier this year. I think we're trying to start interviews this week, but if that's not the case, we'll definitely be starting interviews next week. And once again, we'll be having those all the way through December 5th. Now, applications, this is an important one here. This is one you probably definitely want to note. Applications will be closing on the 16th of November. Applications will be closing on the 16th of November at midnight. I believe that's a Sunday. So as that Friday comes, we'll give you that last weekend to sort of get your ducks aligned and sort of get all the information gathered if you're interested to then submit that application. So once again, applications will be closing on November 16th at midnight. And then December 15th to the 19th, we'll start sending out acceptance and declination letters to know whether you've gotten into the program or not. So that's kind of the general timeline, the things that you want to be aware of. And then once again, as I mentioned earlier, if you were not able to get all this information written down, or you think that we're moving a bit too fast, absolutely no worries. The session is being recorded and we will be posting it to our website. So no worries on that. In terms of the actual program timeline itself, the program will be starting in January 15th with our Cohort event launch. And then starting on January 19th through March 11th, we'll be having our actual training workshops. And then March 12th of next year, we'll be wrapping up with graduation. So once again, we'll be doing all the application and all the interviews, those things prior to the Christmas holidays. And then we'll let folks go on their break, enjoy their time with family and friends during the holidays. And then when we come back at the top of the year, we'll jump right into the program. So a little bit more specifics in terms of the actual class structure itself. Weekly, the classes will be taking place. I just mentioned earlier, they'll be going on from January 15th to March 11th. There'll be roughly about 8 classes in total. There'll be a mix of virtual and in person. And the classes will be consisting of entrepreneur features, which will have real world examples, actual professionals in space that will be able to supply insights, resources, knowledge, and education from the Elaine Beauty team. And they'll be bringing plenty of industry experts to really give you that insight, that in-depth knowledge in terms of how that space operates and all the expertise and skill sets that you'll need to acquire while you're in the program. Also, there should be opportunities to have membership within the Elaine Beauty Makerspace. And once again, Rahama and her team will be the ones that will facilitating those engagements and those experiences. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there'll be post-program support, and which will have access to world-class business experts, all kinds of fantastic opportunities, learn from them about strategy and growth consultants in terms of how to continue to build your businesses in productive ways that's going to make sense for where you are and where you're at. And then last, but definitely not least, and in some ways, very, very, very important, you'll become members of our alumni and have access to those previous members who have gone through the program as well. And currently, I think we have over 150, maybe close to about 170 Ascend alumni members that are out here operating in the world. And just for expectations in terms of what it is that we do require of those who decide to participate in the program, we are asking that you be prepared to commit up to 10 hours per week during the cohort period. And in that, you'll have time to dedicate to doing assignments, out of class readings, research, things of that nature that will help you in terms of what's also taking place in the actual classrooms. We do require, or very much you be cognizant of the fact that you need to be able to attend all sessions and to complete all required assignments. And at the end, the capstone, the deliverable, will be a creating of a 12-month growth plan. And also, we were also asking and also think that you be required to build relationships with other cohort members, advisors, and other stakeholders. We really like to talk about that one because part of this process here is really showing up as a colleague, really showing up as a supporter, really showing up as an entrepreneur who can be in a space where you're able to build relationships, be in a space to share, and be in a space of not only being a leader, but also being a support resource for those other cohort members that are in the program. So really being a space where you're interested in building and developing community is a mindset we definitely encourage folks to come to the table with. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, being expected to participate in networking events outside of the classroom sessions is something that we also want folks to be prepared to do as well as they go through the program. Eligibility requirements, very, very key things here. What is it that business owners need to be positioned and able to be able to participate in the program? We are asking that folks own a business for at least 2 years. And have it be in operating for at least that amount of time. And also, if this is not the case, we understand that folks are in various stages of trying to build a business. But if that isn't the case, we will consider those outside of these parameters on a case-by-case basis. So we always get the question, well, what happens if I haven't been running a business for 2 years, or I started it 3 years ago or 5 years ago, then had to stop and start it back up again? We definitely encourage folks to definitely apply. But once again, the priority to those that get into the program will be given to those who meet the minimum requirements. So once again, we do encourage folks across the board, if you don't meet these requirements, feel free to definitely submit the application. It's a very valuable exercise going through thinking about how you communicate what you're doing with your business, the strengths, the weaknesses, all the things that are encapsulated within an application. But once again, we do want to be as transparent as possible and communicate that our highest considerations and priorities will go to those businesses that meet the minimum requirements. From a location perspective, geography-wise, we ask that the business to be registered either in Washington, D.C., Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Arlington County, Alexandria County, and Fairfax City and County as well. So those are the geographic reasons that we are really encouraging folks to have their businesses in. And the reason why we have that, and so well, I live in Pennsylvania. If it's a virtual course, why can't I participate? One of the things that we always like to talk about is not necessarily every business is ready for financing, but we like to have that as an option should businesses be interested in that. And part of our lending requirements here at WakeUp is that businesses be operating in these particular counties. So that was one of the constraints in terms of what geographically, how we like to focus on the businesses. That might not be a core piece of the curriculum here, as the Yaleen Beauty Makerspace has sort of outlined for the workshops. But once again, if businesses are interested in that sometime after the program, thinking about lending for their businesses, we want to make sure that we're bringing you into the program and you're available, and the requirements in terms of where your business is located and where you're operating, you're able to meet our lending requirements as well. So just some insight in terms of why we have these particular requirements as it pertains to geographic regions in terms of where your businesses are operating. Also, in terms of requirement, we want to make sure that you represent an independent and locally owned small business, have at least $15,000 in annual sales. Once again, we are flexible in that to a degree. We understand businesses are operating at different levels, but as I mentioned earlier, the priority will be given to those businesses that do meet these minimum requirements. And so, once again, we do encourage folks to submit their applications if they do not necessarily meet these minimum requirements. But once again, we want to communicate that if you don't meet the minimum requirements, we'll be considered on a case-by-case basis if it makes sense for you to be a part of the program. And there's a number of different factors that kind of determine that. We also look at cohort sort of chemistry, level of businesses. We don't want to have businesses that just started last year, and then we also have in a cohort of business that might be operating for 15 plus years. That mix kind of doesn't make sense. And so we want to make sure that we're putting together a cohort which all of the members can benefit from each other because of similar experiences, similar levels of operation. And once again, the cohort members can be a resource to each other. So there's a number of different considerations. And so we're not just being indiscriminate for any particular reasons, just because, oh, we don't like the name of the business and we're not going to put you in a program. We really look at the application pool overall, sort of look at the life cycle of all the business owners, what skill sets they're trying to achieve, sort of in terms of what they're interested, their approach, attitude, things of that nature. And it's really a process on the back end to make sure that we have a cohort that really works for each other. And it's really a good mix in terms of a good space for folks to be collaborative with one another and be able to support each other in the workshops and in the cohort program as well. And then last but not least, by any stretch of imagination, we also have priority that we try to give to those who are participating in the program who are from Ward 7 and Ward 8. And just to share, we've kind of talked about a little bit in the past here with Rahama just being an example in terms of how she has liked the program so much that she's come back and partnered with us on it. Just a little bit of some feedback that we received over the years in terms of the kind of conversations and what folks are saying about the program itself. We had one person said that my favorite part of the program was being able to collectively work together with other members of the program and having all of the speakers, Rahama as well, talk with them and address so many things was really the best part in terms of their experience. All of the information that they felt given was priceless and invaluable. So once again, as we mentioned earlier, great insights, great and fantastic experts at the table, and just industry experts that really have some great information, education, insights, and resources for you. It also helped me to piece everything together to construct my official business plan and give them a better awareness of their brand and also their overall goals. And my favorite part of the program was mentorship. It was nice hearing from individuals who already were in the industry and helped to guide them and to think differently. So once again, folks come into the program thinking about A, B, and C. Then as a result of the expertise that's provided, the insights, they then have some extra dynamics in terms of what they think about. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this. And that could be the missing link that actually allows you to take your business to the next phase in terms of where you're trying to going. So just once again, just really great insights here. Wanted to pull some quotes from some of the past participants to hear from their words in terms of why they liked the program, why they thought it was meaningful to participate in the Ascend Beauty program.
And I also want to suggest that you click on that link that I sent. that has the short interviews with the graduates of the recent cohort, because they really do go into specific detail about like the successes and things that they really enjoyed about the program. I think it's really helpful for you to consider that as you look to apply for this program.
Awesome. So now we are at the Q&A, and I think Maria, I've seen some questions
We
here.
have
Did
some
you want to
questions.
run? Yeah, do you want to run through those? Let's
Yeah,
see.
so I'll read the first one. Someone asking if they can apply as a team in case the founder isn't available to attend all the sessions.
So yes, we get this question often. So I'll respond, and Maria, if there's anything I'm missing, please feel free to jump in on that. The person who applied for the program should be the same person who interviews for the program. The person who applies, the person who interviews should still be the same person that then participates in the program. So once again, the person who applies should be the same person that interviews, and that same person that interviews, it needs to be the person that participates. So one of the things that we want to make sure that we're getting consistency throughout the program process, from application to interview to participation, because part of this, the value is week in and week out, you're getting access to information and you're understanding how that information then applies to the particular business challenges or business issues that your enterprise is having. So if you have one team member come in on the front end, conversations take place, insights are shared, and you have a different person that comes in on the next week, and there may not be time for that person who was in the workshop the week before, then transfer that information to the person number two on the next week. So we really encourage folks to have a consistent individual in the program. So if the business has 5 team members, that's fine. Have one person submit that application and make sure that you're comfortable with that person being the applicant, you're comfortable with that person interviewing, you're comfortable with that person participating in the program.
And the
So
reason
yes, next
why
question.
also is that a lot of the folks in the room are founders. And so the founder needs to be comfortable having their business represented by someone who isn't, if that is a decision that's being made, because pretty much everyone else in the room will be a founder of the company. And I think that's important. There's a question in the Q&A. Can the sales you made under someone else count as revenue? I guess they're
Under
doing
someone
like
else.
co-packaging, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll explain like this. So I'll respond to that. I think I understand the question. So the way I understand it, and also share in terms of, once again, the overall objectives of the program. The efforts of the company itself are really what's going to be under quote unquote scrutiny in the program. And that scrutiny is more so from you sharing what are the challenges, what are your opportunities, what have been your wins, what have been your losses. And so that is really what's going to determine the success in the program. If you know that you sell 2 and 3 bottles last year and you're not able to sell 3 more this year for X and Y, Z reasons, and your sales and your revenues from those numbers, they have to match. So if you're bringing numbers from a different entity, then that means you're not really engaging the program on your numbers, on your efforts, on sort of your work. You're sort of bringing some other entity or some other information and data to the table. And so really we want to make sure that you're benefiting, and that means that the information that you're experiencing, the sales that's transpiring under the leadership of your business, that's what's coming to the table, right? So it doesn't make any sense, I don't think, to come into the program to build a business or an entity or get knowledge on information that might not be in alignment with the business that you're operating. So we want to make sure that those folks that are joining the program, that you're bringing in the experience of your business so you can apply those wins, those losses, those challenges, that understanding of your business entity, and then you can apply them and ask questions during the program, during the workshop, and that feedback directly impacts your business and ways you're moving through your own business story.
Hopefully that answered your question. The next question, what are the meeting hours and days?
Great question. Fantastic question. Classes will be taking place on Tuesdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And typically the way that Rahama has fashioned it, a little bit of specificity here, is that usually the first 2 hours is instruction time. Then the last hour is provided for folks to have one-on-one sessions or one-on-one for folks to ask questions, get specific issues addressed. So once again, those first 2 hours that are addressed is really overall instruction time. And then if you want a bit of more of one-on-one or say, hey, you know what, I really have some really interesting questions I've had from last week's session, I'd like to get more of a deep dive here, Rahama provides that time frame. So once again, the sessions will be taking place on Tuesdays from 3 o'clock p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. And classes will be once a week. So it'll be every Tuesday for the duration of the program from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And they will be hybrid, so there will be, the majority of the sessions will be virtual, but there will be some in person at the Yulene Beauty Maker space. Based on past cohorts, our members said they wanted more in-person space, so we've decided to do that during this cohort. So just be aware that that's necessary. Another question: are networking activities open to everyone, including those not in the program? I can answer this. There are networking opportunities that are open to the general public. However, there are Ascend graduate events that are open only to Ascend graduates. So it is a really great opportunity to become a part of a larger group of folks who are doing really great work together. I think that that is the intention of this cohort-based program, is to create this community for Ascend graduates, and it's worthwhile. So at WakeIF does have broad scope networking events, but the Ascend cohort programming is sometimes closed to those graduates only.
Yeah, and also to add a little bit of more additional context here, and Mari is 100% correct. So as an example, we have a launch program, which is obviously sort of the coming out of the Ascend participants. And during that event, you're more than what we usually offer the opportunity for folks to bring +1 or +2. So that's an opportunity to network with WakeIF staff, network with Rahama and her team, and you can bring father, son, partner, your baby, whoever, in terms of, and it happens all the time. So that's an opportunity where that networking opportunity isn't just for the Ascend folks. Then during the program itself, the actual 8 week of instruction, those are specifically oriented for Ascend members only. And then during graduation, which again, what's another networking opportunity, we provide the opportunity for folks to invite others in their community, family, friends, whomever their circle that they want to bring to the table. So there are opportunities to bring in other folks, but during the program itself, the workshop, if Rahama is having something in her space or there's something specifically for the cohort members and it's curriculum oriented, that is specifically for the cohort members. And we do have, once folks graduate from the program, we have specific programs that are designed for Ascend members. You're more than welcome to invite colleagues. That's up to you. But once again, the benefits, sometimes we provide opportunities for consulting opportunities, a number of different products and services that are designed specifically because you are Ascend, and it's not open to the general public. So folks can come to experience the event itself, but the actual collaborations, the opportunities to grow your business, contracts we're able to help to subsidize. Yeah, scholarships that may come up for various reasons. Those are dedicated specifically for Ascend alumni and also for Ascend members.
So the next question is, after the application deadline and people apply, when and how would they receive response if they were chosen for the program?
Sure. Actually, we will be sending via email. So once you submitted your application, in that application, we do have access to your email, and we will be sending emails to communicate that you've been accepted into the program, or if, unfortunately, for a number of different reasons, we may have been declined. I always like to share here, declination does not mean that your business is not great. It does not mean that you are not the best thing on planet Earth since sliced bread. All it simply means is that there's a number of different factors that, for various reasons, the cohort and the chemistry and sort of the makeup of the group might make sense for you to then participate at another program at another time. So once again, this is not a reflection on, you didn't write a great application, or There's all kinds of different factors, and it could just be simply as a lot of the businesses are operating 7+ years. You're an earlier stage business, been operating 2 or 3 years. You could be the next best thing since Google. And unfortunately, we might be able to get you into the program because the makeup of the group is of a certain thing. So there's different factors. Don't take it personally. It's not, we don't like you. Matter of fact, we always like to share. We think all the businesses are fantastic, but once again, we only have so many spots. And we think all businesses that particularly that apply for Ascend, if you're not able to get into the program, we totally invite you to come and participate through our advisory services. We have all kinds of other workshops. Mari has, through the Office of Women's Initiatives, have so many other opportunities for business owners to participate. The Ascend is not the end all be all. So there's other opportunities, and we strongly encourage folks to continue to come into our ecosystem and participate, because once again, everybody can't get in because there's only so many spots. And we sort of feel sad, I'm being honest, that we can't have all businesses, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions. So just wanted to share that as well.
And here's another question. I think this is a really good question, actually. Does the program represent all sectors of beauty and personal care?
Absolutely. Yes. Now, one of the things we do, this is a great question I want to bring some clarity on. We do have a lot of applications in which folks are running beauty businesses, which from the outside, oh, it's Ascend Beauty, I run a beauty business, I should be able to get into the program. It is a beauty products. So just for clarity, beauty products. So one of the things we want to focus on, if folks have a product or two products that they're looking to launch, or they already have a number of SKUs and they want to introduce a new product, but once again, they have a product-based business. This is not because we like product-based businesses only, but the curriculum, as Rahama has designed it, is really for those businesses that are pushing products. The curriculum will align best with that. So if you have a beauty business and you're just like, well, I have one location, I'd like to expand to a second location, this curriculum is not going to help you. The resources that Rahama is bringing to the table are not going to help you, because what the education, the insights, and the expertise that they're bringing to the table are going to help those who are trying to figure out how to strengthen a product's brand, how to maybe get into shelves at other retailers, how to maximize if you're trying to have a pop-up strategy, things of that nature. So that's why we encourage folks to have products to apply. And if you're not a product-based business, then that might be a reason to pause and say, well, maybe this isn't the right opportunity for me at this time. If I have a brick and mortar, or I'm looking to get into a brick and mortar, and I'm really trying to strategize on how do I save up money for rent, or what is going to be my strategy for retail, things of that nature. So just some things to consider as well.
Yeah, and we have a clarifying question from Mieko. Does beauty include fashion and decor? It generally does not. What it does include, though, is candles. So candles are included, but that's about it. Like we don't, fashion is a completely separate topic, sector that Rahama doesn't cover. She specifically focuses on beauty products. And so a lot of the content actually would not be relevant to your business, because what she's going to be talking about is the beauty product industry. So hopefully that answers your question. There's also questions about the schedule. So are the meetings on Tuesdays in person or virtual? It's hybrid. So they will be some in person, some virtual. Someone asked if there's going to be a schedule shared. Yes, we will share a schedule. Once you've been accepted into the program, you will find out what sessions will be in person and what sessions will be virtual, so that you can plan accordingly.
And just to pick, one minute, just to piggyback on that, Mari, and that's another reason from the county perspective. So if we've had some applications from some counties that are a little bit way out, fantastic businesses. But the other consideration is the in-person meetings are maybe once or twice. I don't think we do it any more than that. But we also want to consider folks traveling. So if you happen to be on I won't name anything specific, but an outskirts sort of county, it might take 45 minutes to an hour to travel into that could be a bit of stress on, in terms of the individual. So we're really trying to just take in consideration how to make it feasible travel wise as well. So those are one of the reasons for the counties that we sort of that we focus on. But we will, but once again, we want to encourage folks to think about, you know, if traveling is just something that doesn't make sense, you don't like to drive, or traffic is horrific or something like that, there's opportunities to discuss it. And also, if you make it to the interview, bring those questions to the interview. Rahama should be on a lot of, if not many, hopefully all of the interviews, or if not, we'll get feedback from her to be able to communicate to folks. You can ask those specific questions at that time as well. But I think the most important thing to notate once again is that the majority, easily 60 to 70% of the classes will be virtual. So we're not going to require folks to travel. And then when the schedule is aligned where the classes will be taking place in person, we'll provide plenty of opportunity for that. And if I'm correct, I want to say tentatively, the in-person sessions will be taking place at her makerspace, which will be, it's on Benning and Minnesota Avenue. So just give a sense of geography wise. Yeah, Ward 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a very likelihood of where the in-place classes will be taking place. So think about that. If that's a place that it's tough for you to get to, or traveling wise is a bit of a challenge, that may be something for consideration in terms of why this may not be a great opportunity. So just once again, but the vast majority of the classes, 60 to 70% of them will be virtual, because once again, we want to try to make the experience as easy as possible. So requiring folks to be in person for all 7 classes, just especially after COVID, and just seeing the ease and the value of being able to take classes from the comfort of your own home, we just thought that made sense. So hopefully that answers some questions, give it more insight in terms of the hybrid virtual sort of model that we have put together for the classes here.
I'm adding the address for the Yulian Beauty Makerspace so everybody is aware of where it's located in the chat.
Mari's dropping the link there and the address. But yeah, it's going to be her makerspace is on Benning Road. If I had to guess or had to put out there, maybe a block north. I don't give my corrections, but it's about a block away from Minnesota Avenue. If anyone knows that space, the block
it is a block really from apply. Minnesota.
Yeah, it is. It's
right across the bridge.
Right across the bridge. Yeah, right across. But it's a 2-minute drive, if that, from Minnesota Avenue. But it's on close to Minnesota Avenue. But technically, it's on Benning Road.
There's also a really important question about let me see where it went. The revenue requirement. Is the revenue requirement make or break? If you have somewhat less than 15,000, can you still apply if all else is met?
Absolutely. As folks might have missed that earlier, which is fine. We always encourage folks to apply. And Rahama, and we've talked about this with Rahama in the past information sessions. There's a value in going through the application process because it helps you think about your business, communicate your business. And so, just going through that, if you have the time, is valuable. Now, I want to share again, as I mentioned earlier, priority will go to those businesses that do meet the minimum requirements. We have had in the past businesses that don't meet those minimum requirements for a number of different reasons. So I can't sit here and give you the exact framework, A, B, C, D. We don't do a paint by colors number process in terms of getting businesses into it. So we have had businesses in the program that have done less than the requirement. But then we have businesses that in the same group that were below the threshold and weren't able to get into the program. So once again, there's a number of different factors, too numerous to name here. But I encourage, if you have the time and you think it's worthwhile going through the process, I would definitely encourage you to submit your application. And then, because once again, you never know what can happen. So I can't guarantee, but hopefully that provides as much transparency in terms of if folks are below that $15,000 threshold. And if you talk to any, if you happen to run across any of Ascend alumni, a number of them will probably communicate to, yeah, I didn't have the minimum $15,000 threshold, but I'm imagining that they thrived in it. They were able to prosper and they really get a lot of value. I'll share that, just a little bit of peek behind the curtain here. One of the things in terms of what we would encourage folks that really allow you to shine is have really well thought out answers in your applications. Like what can be in lieu of quote, consideration of the 15,000, that you've really thought about where your business is, you really thought about what your challenges are, and you've really thought about what you would like to get out of the program. Mari and I have been doing this enough to know that when people have actually been thoughtful versus like, oh my God, I really want to do this, let me just put something together. And we can, I'm still learning. I'm a continuous learner every day. But at this stage in the game, we can definitely tell. And then we have an internal committee that also supports us in getting some insights. But we can definitely tell when folks have been very thoughtful about their application answers, and we can tell that you really put some time into that. So that goes a long ways in terms of us really considering if you would be a good fit for the program. So just want to put that on the table as well. Once again, I think the question around if the $15,000 minimum threshold isn't met, what are the opportunities or chance of getting to the program? Don't have a straight answer for that, but what I want to share, as I just communicated, in lieu of that, what can help strengthen your application? Be thoughtful about your answers. Be very intentional. I've seen applications in the past where they've written 2 sentences for each question. No bueno, mi amigos.
No, because we really
Not
want to
good.
get a sense of who you are. It's helpful
Yeah,
for us to know who you are about your business, because that gives us that like understanding, and that really helps us understand how to support you, right? Because that's what this is.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, fantastic. I couldn't have said it any better. That's our first interaction with you, and
Mhm.
if all you tell us is, I grow a business that started 2 years ago, we
It's not
make candles
memorable.
and people love them.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell us anything about your business. We really, more details that you submit, the more you describe, the better we understand, and they can really get a sense of like, okay, wow, they really thought about this.
Mm.
We understand what your challenges are, where you're trying to go. We then measure that against the curriculum, and then we can see that, okay, they can really benefit because they've really hit on some of the things that are going to be addressed in the curriculum. All right, with that being said, folks, we're about 10 minutes over, which is fine. We wanted to make sure we answered all of your questions, but that being said, we know that you all have busy schedules and we have busy schedules as well. Worst case scenario, this video will be available after today. We are going to send this over to our comms team. They're going to do their magic behind the scenes here, and they're going to post it to our website. So once again, if for whatever reasons you want to play this back, you want to take some notes, or you had to leave early, or you had a friend that you know that wants to apply as well and they weren't able to make it, this video will be available on our website for you to peruse and look at it. And interesting enough, we've actually found out to be very helpful, because very often during the interviews, and just to give you a little more peek behind it, if you do get into the interview, at the end of it, we ask folks, do you have any questions for us? And folks say, well, you know what? I read all the FAQs on the website. I watched the video a number of times. I pretty much kind of know what I need to know. So we understand that people really use the video as a resource before they apply to kind of get a sense of if they're a good fit for the program. So yes, one more time, to be complete transparent and have full clarity, this video will be on our website. Please don't feel that you've missed out and upset and frustration. I didn't get to listen to the information. It will be on our website. And if for whatever reason you want some more additional information, you can hit us at programs@wakeif.org with any additional questions. Let me go to the next slide here. Here's all of our socials. If you have anything you want to reply or ask questions or just get a better sense of who we are, please visit all of our socials. Rahama and her team on here as well, YalinBeauty.com, and all of their social and their handles are there as well. And yeah, please feel free once again to drop any questions. Hey, Mari, could you put, I don't think our email is in there, programs at
I
wakeif.org.
put it in the
Is it?
chat.
Oh, you put it in the chat? Okay, cool.
I
Oh,
sent it
there
to
he is.
everybody. Yep.
Got it. I
And I
didn't scroll
also
down.
put the link again for the Wake If Ascend webpage. That's where the video will be. That's also where the application link is. And there's a FAQ list there as well. Lots of resources. And if all else fails, just email us at programs@wakeif.org and we will answer all of your questions. Yep. Okay, I think we did it.
Yep, I think that's it. We
Thank you,
did it.
everyone.
Yay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time, for your patience. We appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a fantastic weekend as it approaches. Stay safe. We'll be talking to you all soon.
Happy Halloween. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.